The Earth was quiet, but beneath the calm surface, humanity had changed. Centuries of struggle, exploration, and conflict had transformed humans into something unique. They were no longer just survivors. They were thinkers, fighters, and inventors. They had mastered their planet, reached out into the stars, and built machines that could rival anything the galaxy had ever seen. And now the galaxy was calling for help. The call came through the interstellar communications network, a message that carried urgency, desperation, and hope all at once. The Zephyrian Alliance, a coalition of advanced civilizations, had sent a request that would change the course of human history. They were under attack from a new enemy, a mysterious force called the Shadari. These beings moved through space like shadows, consuming everything in their path. Entire worlds had fallen, and the coalition's armies were failing. They needed soldiers, and they needed them quickly. On Earth, the message reached the Global Defense Council, the highest authority responsible for planetary security. The council chamber was filled with military leaders, scientists, and strategists, all gathered around a large holographic display showing the coalition's desperate plea. The room buzzed with conversation, but one voice rose above the rest. "We don't send ordinary soldiers," said Admiral Rin, a veteran of countless conflicts. His eyes were sharp, and his voice carried the weight of experience. "They asked for soldiers. We send executioners. That is the only way to ensure the galaxy survives." They were a combination of elite military skill, advanced technology, and ruthless efficiency, but their purpose was not cruelty. Their purpose was survival, for humanity, and for anyone who stood against an unstoppable threat. Captain Alara Kwon stood at the back of the room, her hands clasped behind her. She was selected to lead the first executioner squad. She was young, but her record spoke volumes: flawless missions, quick decision-making, and an ability to inspire those under her command. She had trained with the best, and now she was about to lead them into a war that stretched across light years. The squad itself was small but formidable. Each member had been carefully chosen for a reason. There was Jalen, the strategist, whose mind could see patterns and predict enemy movements before they happened. Mara, the tech specialist, could manipulate any device, hack any system, and turn technology into a weapon. Rick, the combat expert, could move faster and strike harder than anyone else in his unit. And finally, Tessa, the medic and biochemist, who could heal wounds, neutralize toxins, and even modify the squad's physical abilities if needed. Together, they were more than a team. They were a force the galaxy had never seen. In the days before departure, the squad underwent final preparations. Their ship, the Aegis Vanguard, was a marvel of engineering. It could traverse vast distances in a fraction of the time normal ships could. It had stealth capabilities, advanced weapons, and a command center designed for real-time strategy and communication with coalition forces. The team spent hours in simulations, running drills that pushed them to the limits of endurance and skill. During one exercise, the holographic battlefield displayed a city under siege. Mara adjusted the controls, sending virtual enemy units into position. Rick sprinted through corridors, neutralizing threats with perfect timing. Jalen called out instructions, predicting the enemy's movements. Alara watched, nodding approvingly. The simulation ended, and the room erupted in cheers. They had achieved what many thought impossible. But there was more to their training than skill and strategy. They were taught to think like humans, not machines, to adapt, to improvise, to find solutions when the rules failed. That unpredictability was what made them deadly. Unlike other species, humans could take risks, learn from failure, and act with courage that defied logic. It was not arrogance, it was experience honed over centuries of struggle and survival. Finally, the day of departure arrived. The Aegis Vanguard stood ready at the orbital station, its hull gleaming against the backdrop of stars. Families and colleagues gathered to watch, though many knew that these executioners would not return the same. Alara stood on the deck, looking at her team. Their faces were calm, focused, but beneath it all there was excitement, a human excitement that no machine could replicate. "Remember," Alara said, her voice steady but filled with meaning, "we are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every world that cannot defend itself. We are humans, we survive. And we succeed." They were leaving behind everything familiar, stepping into the unknown, carrying not only their weapons but the hopes of countless civilizations. During the journey, the team continued their preparation. Jalen studied the intelligence reports, marking key targets and analyzing enemy patterns. Mara ran systems diagnostics, ensuring every device on the ship was optimized. Rick trained in the zero-gravity combat chambers, honing his reflexes. Tessa checked the medical supplies and experimented with enhancements that could give them an edge. Every member of the squad understood that their success depended on coordination, intelligence, and adaptability. As they approached the Zephyrian sector, the first signs of conflict became visible. Planets were scarred, cities in ruins, and fleets of coalition ships were scattered and damaged. The Shadari presence was overwhelming. Unlike any enemy the humans had faced before, the Shadari did not follow predictable patterns. They moved like shadows, striking without warning, leaving devastation in their wake. Alara gathered her team in the command center. "This is it," she said. "We are not here to blend in. We are here to change the outcome. Remember what we trained for. Think fast, act faster, protect those who cannot protect themselves, and remember, humans survive." When they landed on the first Zephyrian planet, the sight that greeted them was worse than any simulation. The city was half destroyed, smoke rising from collapsed buildings. The surviving coalition forces were demoralized, exhausted, and unsure how to fight back. Civilians huddled in shelters, terrified and hopeless. Alara led her squad forward, moving with precision and calm confidence. They assessed the battlefield quickly, marking enemy positions and planning their moves. The Zephyrians watched, unable to comprehend the speed and efficiency of the humans. Within hours, the executioners had set traps, fortified positions, and neutralized small enemy units. Each action was deliberate, calculated, and effective. By nightfall, the humans had achieved what the coalition could not in weeks. They had saved civilians, eliminated threats, and demonstrated the power of human ingenuity. The Zephyrians gathered around, whispering in awe. "They did not send soldiers," one said quietly. "They sent something else. Something unstoppable." They were far from home, facing an enemy that had destroyed worlds. Yet in their hearts they carried the strength of humanity, resilience, courage, and an unbreakable will to survive. They were executioners, yes, but they were also humans. And that combination, the galaxy would soon learn, was more powerful than anything the Shadari could imagine. The night passed, and the first light of a new day revealed the ruined city with a sense of quiet hope. Smoke still rose from the wreckage, but life had returned. Children peeked from hiding places, soldiers regrouped, and humans moved among them, a symbol of skill, courage, and determination. In the distance, the dark shapes of Shadari patrols moved across the horizon, unaware of what awaited them. Alara looked to her team, a determined smile on her face. "Tomorrow we fight harder," she said, "not just to survive, but to ensure the galaxy knows who we are." The first light of Zephyrian dawn fell over the ruined city, casting long shadows across the crumbled buildings. Smoke still curled from collapsed streets, and the smell of scorched metal and alien dust lingered in the air. Yet amid the devastation, life stirred. Humans moved with purpose, their steps deliberate, their eyes sharp. They were not here to survive, they were here to fight and to change the tide of war. Captain Alara Kwon led her squad through the streets, scanning every corner, listening for the faintest sound of movement. Jalen walked beside her, a data pad in hand, analyzing the enemy's patrol patterns. Mara adjusted her equipment, ready to hack into any Shadari device that might come their way. Rick carried a compact plasma rifle, his eyes never resting. Tessa followed, checking the team's vitals, ensuring everyone remained at peak performance. The Zephyrian soldiers who had survived the initial attacks watched from behind barricades. They were tired, scared, and unsure of how to continue the fight. Humans, in contrast, carried a calm confidence that was almost shocking. Their presence alone inspired hope. The coalition troops whispered among themselves, "We asked for soldiers, they sent executioners." The Shadari were everywhere, but their movements were mechanical, predictable in small patterns. Where the Zephyrians hesitated, humans acted. They set traps in alleys, used debris to create cover, and coordinated strikes that neutralized enemies before they could react. Within an hour, the squad had cleared 3 city blocks, securing trapped civilians and ensuring no harm came to them. "Humans fight differently," a Zephyrian lieutenant muttered, eyes wide. "They think faster, they move faster, they adapt." Tessa administered first aid to a wounded civilian, then modified her suit to enhance Rick's reflexes for the next engagement. Every move was deliberate, every action precise. As they approached the city center, the squad encountered their first real resistance. Shadari units, dark and alien, moved with uncanny speed. Their bodies were sleek, covered in chitin-like armor, and their eyes glowed faintly. They didn't speak, they didn't hesitate. Their goal was destruction. Rick fired first, taking down 2 Shadari before they could react. Mara disrupted a nearby communications node, preventing reinforcements from being called. Jalen called out tactical adjustments, predicting enemy movements with uncanny accuracy. Alara moved forward, her team covering her every step. Within minutes, the Shadari patrol was eliminated. Not one civilian had been harmed, but the efficiency of the attack left the surviving coalition troops in awe. This is beyond anything we imagined, the Zephyrian lieutenant whispered. They don't just fight, they erase the threat. They were relentless, and soon they would return in force. Prepare for counterattack, she said. They will test us, we must be ready. Alara's squad set up defensive positions, using the ruined buildings to create choke points, traps, and hidden vantage points. They worked together seamlessly, a machine of strategy, skill, and instinct. The first wave came just after midnight. Shadari moved in unpredictable patterns, testing the squad's response. Rick and Mara worked in perfect tandem, taking down enemies while avoiding traps of their own. Jalen directed movement, predicting where the Shadari would strike next. Tessa monitored the team, ready to heal any injuries in seconds. Alara coordinated the entire operation, making split-second decisions that kept everyone alive. The humans' efficiency shocked the Shadari. They had never faced an enemy like this. Where previous opponents had hesitated, faltered, or followed predictable tactics, humans adapted instantly. They learned from each move, reacted faster than expected, and struck with precision that seemed almost inhuman. Hours passed. By dawn, the Shadari had been pushed back, their advance halted. The humans had not only defended the city, but had also captured key intelligence on the enemy's movements. Data collected by Mara revealed patterns and weaknesses in the Shadari forces, information that could change the course of the entire war. The Zephyrians were stunned. How do they do it? One soldier asked. They are unstoppable. This is what it means to be human. We adapt, we survive, we protect. And when necessary, we strike back harder than anyone expects. That is our strength. Each success demonstrated what humans could achieve when pushed to the limit. During one mission, the squad discovered a Shadari communications hub buried beneath a collapsed building. Mara and Jalen worked together to hack the system while Rick and Alara guarded the perimeter. Within minutes, they accessed maps, troop movements, and even enemy supply lines. The information was invaluable. Coalition forces could now anticipate attacks, avoid traps, and strike with precision. Yet even as victories accumulated, Alara knew the war was far from over. The Shadari were relentless, adapting as well, learning from each encounter. Humans could not fight blindly. They needed strategy, intelligence, and the ability to predict the enemy's next move. One evening, as the squad rested atop a partially destroyed tower, Alara looked out over the city. Smoke still rose from distant ruins, but the streets were alive with cautious movement. Civilians ventured out, rebuilding what they could. Zephyrian soldiers coordinated patrols, inspired by the humans' presence. For the first time in weeks, hope had returned. Rick broke the silence. Captain, we've done well, but they will come back stronger. They always do. Using the intelligence Mara had gathered, they organized small strikes against Shadari supply lines and outposts. The coalition forces followed, learning from human tactics, but it was clear that humans were the backbone of the operation. In one daring mission, the squad infiltrated a Shadari base hidden beneath the mountains. Using stealth, cunning, and advanced technology, they disabled defenses, neutralized key targets, and extracted valuable data. Not one member of the squad was injured, and the impact on the enemy was immediate. Supply lines were disrupted, and morale among Shadari troops faltered. The Zephyrian leaders began to understand the full extent of humanity's power. Humans were not just fighters. They were unpredictable, brilliant, and fearless. Their ability to adapt, improvise, and act decisively made them the perfect executioners. No other species in the coalition could match their skill. As the humans returned to their temporary base, civilians and soldiers alike greeted them with awe. Small hands waved, eyes shone with admiration, and whispers spread. Earth sent executioners, not soldiers. They fight like no one else. Yet in that moment, Alara knew one thing. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy not as a minor player, but as a force to be reckoned with. They had shown courage, skill, and ingenuity that no other species could match. And when the Shadari realized what humans were capable of, they would learn the hard way. Earth did not send soldiers. Earth sent executioners. The squad rested briefly, preparing for the next mission. They reviewed intelligence, coordinated with coalition leaders, and ensured their equipment was ready. The city, once broken, was beginning to heal, thanks to the humans' relentless effort. Hope had returned where despair had once ruled. Alara knew that the true test was coming. The Shadari would retaliate, and when they did, it would be with full force. But humans were ready. They had proven themselves in the first wave of combat, showing that courage, intelligence, and adaptability were more powerful than any technology the enemy could deploy. As night fell once again, the stars above the Zephyrian world shone brightly. Humans gazed at them with quiet determination. They were far from home, in an alien world filled with danger, yet they carried with them the greatest weapon of all, their humanity. And with that, they were unstoppable. The Zephyrian city had begun to breathe again. Streets once filled with smoke and chaos were now alive with cautious movement. Civilians emerged from shelters, rebuilding what little they could, and coalition forces coordinated patrols under the guidance of the humans. But the respite was temporary. The Shadari were not an enemy that slept. They were patient, intelligent, and deadly, always calculating the next strike. Captain Alara Kwon knew this better than anyone. From the observation tower overlooking the city, she studied the horizon, her eyes tracing the dark, shadowy outlines of the alien forces gathering in the distance. The first real counterattack had been only a taste. Now the Shadari were planning a coordinated assault, one that could destroy everything the humans had worked to protect. Her team stood beside her, alert and ready. Jalen studied the data feeds, analyzing enemy formations and predicting their attack patterns. Mara monitored the city's security systems, ensuring that surveillance and defenses were fully operational. Rick checked weapons, testing their efficiency under high-stress conditions, while Tessa ran physiological checks on each squad member, ensuring peak performance. Alara spoke quietly but with authority. "This will not be like before. They've learned from our previous attacks. We must be unpredictable. We must think ahead of them at every turn. We cannot allow fear to dictate our actions. Remember, humans survive because we adapt, and we succeed because we act where others hesitate." Shadari forces moved like liquid shadows, flowing through the outskirts of the city. Their numbers were greater than any patrol humans had faced before, their strategy more coordinated. They advanced without hesitation, and yet humans were ready. The first wave struck the eastern barricade. The humans had anticipated this, placing traps and sensors along the narrow streets. Rick fired the first shots, plasma rounds cutting through the darkness with deadly precision. Shadari soldiers fell, their alien armor shattering under targeted attacks. Mara manipulated the city's power grid, creating temporary barriers and controlling street lights to disorient the enemy. Jalen called out directions, predicting enemy movements and coordinating human positions with almost supernatural timing. Every move was calculated yet flexible, allowing for adaptation in real time. The Zephyrian soldiers watched in awe, unable to comprehend the speed and precision of human tactics. Despite the humans' preparedness, the Shadari pressed on. They attacked from multiple directions, forcing the squad to split attention, constantly adjusting positions. But humans thrived under pressure. Where other species might panic or retreat, they adapted. Alara moved her team like a conductor, each member acting in perfect harmony. Rick blocked one street while Mara disabled enemy drones above. Jalen rerouted human forces to intercept a flank, and Tessa remained on standby, ready to patch injuries and optimize performance. Hours passed as the battle raged. Shadari forces were relentless, but so were the humans. Each wave they destroyed only revealed another behind it, yet the squad never faltered. They used guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run strikes, and improvised traps that left the enemy confused and disoriented. The humans were not only defending, they were taking the fight to the Shadari, showing them that their attacks would never go unanswered. At one point, a group of Shadari attempted to breach a civilian shelter. Mara spotted their approach through surveillance feeds. "Eastern perimeter, they're heading for the civilians," she shouted. Alara didn't hesitate. "Rick, intercept them. Jalen, cover the west flank. Mara, control the lights. Tessa, be ready." Jalen predicted movements, guiding Rick and others with split-second accuracy. The Shadari, used to dominating their opponents, were caught off guard. In a matter of minutes, the threat was neutralized and the civilians were safe. When the wave subsided, the humans regrouped. The city was battered but alive. Zephyrian forces slowly began to recover, inspired by the humans' unshakable efficiency. Alara took a moment to observe her team, proud but not complacent. The battle was far from over. The Shadari would learn, adapt, and attack again. Humans had to be ready for anything. In the following days, the squad continued their campaign, striking at supply lines, communication hubs, and enemy outposts. Their approach was methodical yet unpredictable. They used traps, ambushes, and psychological tactics that made the Shadari cautious. Every mission taught the humans more about their enemy, and every success demoralized the Shadari further. During one critical operation, the squad infiltrated a Shadari command center hidden beneath a collapsed mountain. The entrance was heavily guarded, with automated defenses and sensors designed to detect intruders. Mara hacked the security systems, bypassing alarms and rerouting surveillance cameras. Jalen plotted their route with precision, timing every step to avoid detection. Rick moved silently, neutralizing guards as needed, while Tessa monitored their physical condition and prepared contingencies for injury. Inside the command center, the squad discovered the Shadari's plans for a massive assault on multiple Zephyrian cities. Mara began downloading the data while Jalen secured a safe exit route. Suddenly, a patrol arrived, forcing the humans into a tight engagement. Rick and Alara moved together, covering each other's blind spots, taking down enemies without a sound. Mara completed the download, then joined the fight. Within minutes, the patrol was neutralized, and the humans exited the base undetected, carrying vital intelligence that could change the war. The coalition leaders were stunned. They had never seen an operation executed with such precision and speed. Humans are not just soldiers, one whispered to another. They are something else entirely. They were not merely defenders. They were hunters, thinkers, and strategists rolled into one. Civilians began to see them as protectors, the embodiment of hope in a galaxy that had nearly lost it. Despite their success, Alara remained cautious. She knew the Shadari would escalate their attacks, and she could sense the enemy adapting. The humans could not fight blindly. Each engagement required careful planning, coordination, and adaptation. They were executioners, yes, but executioners with purpose, intelligence, and a moral code that ensured they struck only at the threat, never at those they swore to protect. During a rare moment of rest, the squad gathered on a rooftop overlooking the city. The moon cast a pale glow on the ruins, reflecting the scars of battle and the resilience of life that persisted. Alara spoke softly, more to herself than anyone else. They think they can overwhelm us. They think they can predict us, but they cannot. Humans are not bound by the rules of fear. We create our own path and we survive. They've never faced anyone like us before, and I doubt they ever will. We've proven that humans adapt, fight, and protect. That is our edge. That is why we survive. The humans had won battles, but the war was far from over. By the next morning, the squad was back in the field. The Shadari were attempting to regroup, but humans were relentless. Each strike disrupted supply chains, each ambush weakened morale, and each rescued civilian reinforced the coalition's hope. The humans were not just fighting. They were teaching the galaxy what it meant to be adaptable, brave, and cunning. The Zephyrians began to follow human tactics, learning from their efficiency and decisiveness. Humans did not just command respect, they commanded results. Their presence transformed the coalition from a struggling force into one capable of resisting even the most fearsome enemy. Yet in the back of Alara's mind, a warning lingered. The Shadari were not predictable, but they were clever. The humans, success had drawn their attention, and soon the enemy would test them in ways that no simulation could prepare for. Every battle taught them something new, but the true test of humanity's executioners had yet to come. As the sun rose over the city, casting light over the scars of the past battles, humans moved with confidence and purpose. They were far from home, facing an alien enemy that had destroyed worlds, yet they carried within them the greatest weapon of all, their humanity. It was this combination of skill, courage, and adaptability that made them unstoppable. And as they prepared for the next wave of combat, the galaxy began to understand the truth. Earth had not sent soldiers. Earth had sent executioners. And these executioners would not rest until the Shadari were defeated and every world had a chance to survive. The city had begun to heal, but Alara Kwun knew that the true battle was only beginning. The Shadari were not merely a threat. They were a force of destruction, relentless and clever, and they had learned from every encounter with humans. Intelligence reports from Mara revealed a critical opportunity, a Shadari command nexus hidden deep within a nearby mountain range. If the humans could strike it, they could cripple the enemy's operations across the sector. Alara called her squad together in the command center. The holographic map displayed the rugged terrain of the mountains, the hidden paths, and the estimated location of the Shadari command hub. "This is it," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We take the fight directly to them. We do not wait. We strike, and we strike with precision. We need to be unpredictable. We cannot afford mistakes." Mara and Jalen led the infiltration team toward the base. Using portable hacking devices, they bypassed the Shadari security network. Cameras, motion sensors, and automated defenses were disrupted in sequence, creating a path that allowed the humans to move undetected. The Shadari had never faced enemies capable of such precise technological manipulation, combined with combat skill. Meanwhile, Alara, Rick, and Tessa approached the mountain's outer defenses. Using the shadows and natural cover, they neutralized perimeter patrols silently. Each movement was deliberate, each strike calculated. The Shadari were powerful, but they were predictable in small ways, patterns that humans could detect and exploit. Hours into the mission, Mara's fingers flew over her console. "Command Nexus systems are accessible. We can disrupt their communications and control over field units," she whispered. Jalen nodded, scanning enemy movements. "Timing is critical. We disable their systems, and the enemy will be blind for exactly 15 minutes. That's when your team moves in. Remember, we protect each other, and we protect anyone caught in the crossfire. We are humans. We survive. We succeed." Alara followed, coordinating their positions and ensuring no gaps were left in their formation. As the infiltration team disabled communications, the main force encountered a second wave of Shadari reinforcements. This time, the fight was unavoidable. Plasma bolts lit the night, echoing through the mountain passes, but the humans were ready. They adapted, using cover, mobility, and strategy to turn the battle in their favor. Civilians and coalition allies watched in awe as the humans moved with unmatched precision, each strike eliminating threats while minimizing collateral damage. Within minutes, the Shadari command hub was within reach. Mara and Jalen moved swiftly through the interior, planting devices to disrupt power systems and communications. Security cameras blinked out, doors unlocked, and the enemy's coordination fell apart. Chaos spread among the Shadari ranks, just as Alara had predicted. The humans advanced into the heart of the base. The corridors were narrow, filled with shadows and danger, but they moved like a single unit. Every member knew their role, and every member trusted the others completely. Rick neutralized guards silently, Mara and Jalen continued their technical sabotage, and Tessa moved through the team, ready to heal or enhance as needed. Alara led them with a combination of courage and intellect, making split-second decisions that kept them alive and effective. At the central chamber, the squad found the Shadari Command Core, a massive structure filled with glowing energy nodes and alien machinery. The room was heavily guarded, but the humans had already prepared. Using a combination of stealth and force, they incapacitated the guards and secured the area. Mara began to plant devices to permanently disable the Nexus, while Jalen extracted critical data on enemy plans, troop movements, and technology. The Shadari realized too late that they were being dismantled from within. Panic spread as communications failed, reinforcements were cut off, and field units became disoriented. The humans had executed the perfect strike, exploiting every weakness with intelligence, creativity, and courage. Alara watched as the final device was activated. A pulse of energy spread through the command nexus, shutting down systems and leaving the Shadari blind and disorganized. "It's done," she said quietly. "Now we withdraw before they can regroup." By the time they exited the base and reached the extraction point, the enemy was in full retreat, unable to mount any effective response. Above them, the stealth ship hovered silently, ready to carry them away from the battlefield. As they ascended, the destruction they had caused became visible. The command hub crippled, enemy patrols scattered, and the Shadari's strategic advantage shattered. Coalition forces below began to move in, reclaiming territory and securing civilians who had been trapped or displaced. Alara allowed herself a brief smile, but there was no time for celebration. The battle had been a success, but the war was far from over. The Shadari were resilient and intelligent. They would adapt, learn, and return. Yet humanity had proven a vital truth. Their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability were unmatched in the galaxy. Back on the Zephyrian planet, the humans received recognition, though not in the way they expected. Zephyrian leaders and coalition commanders watched in awe, some openly fearful, others inspired. Humans had not merely completed a mission, they had rewritten the rules of warfare. Their combination of brains, brawn, and strategy was something the galaxy had never seen before. A Zephyrian commander approached Alara after the operation. "Captain Quan, your team is extraordinary. We have never faced anything like this. How do you do it?" "That is all." In the quiet moments that followed, Alara reflected on the mission. They had taken the fight directly to the Shadari, dismantling their command infrastructure and proving the full extent of human ingenuity. Yet she knew the true test was still ahead. The Shadari would not remain passive for long. They would strike back harder, faster, and more cunningly than ever before. But humans were ready. They had demonstrated that they were not just soldiers, they were executioners. Every decision, every movement, every strike had been calculated to maximize efficiency while minimizing unnecessary harm. They had shown the galaxy that humans were capable of extraordinary feats when pushed to their limits. The city below began to recover more quickly now. Civilians ventured out without fear, knowing the humans were there to protect them. Coalition forces followed human strategies, learning from their tactics and gaining confidence. The presence of the humans transformed the battlefield, giving hope where despair had once ruled. As the squad rested, Alara gathered them one last time before sleep. "We have shown what humans can do," she said quietly. "But our work is not done. The Shadari are clever, but we are cleverer. We adapt. We survive. And when the next challenge comes, we will face it together as humans always do." Humans gazed at them silently, feeling the weight of their mission and the responsibility that came with it. They were far from home, facing an alien enemy that had destroyed countless worlds, yet they carried the greatest weapon of all, their humanity. And as they prepared for the battles to come, the galaxy began to understand a truth that would spread far and wide. Earth did not send soldiers. Earth sent executioners, and these executioners would not rest until every threat was removed and every world had a chance to survive. The Shadari were desperate. Their command nexus destroyed, supply lines disrupted, and units scattered, they had retreated to the outer rim of the sector. But even in retreat, their presence was deadly. Entire systems had been stripped of life, and the galaxy waited anxiously for the humans' next move. Captain Alara Quan and her squad had recovered, but they knew there would be no rest. The coalition needed them to finish the fight decisively. The humans had proven their skill and ingenuity, but the Shadari's intelligence and ruthlessness demanded one final, overwhelming strike. This mission would determine not only the fate of the Zephyrian sector, but the galaxy itself. Alara gathered her team aboard the Aegis Vanguard, the stealth ship that had carried them across light years of war. Mara analyzed intelligence recovered from previous operations, pinpointing the location of the remaining Shadari forces. Jalen plotted the optimal approach, calculating risks and predicting enemy behavior. Rick checked their weapons and gear ready for combat, while Tessa prepared enhancements and medical supplies for the long engagement ahead. Alara addressed her squad, her voice steady. "This is it. We have brought the fight to their heart and shown what humans can do. Now we finish it. We will strike where they are weakest, and we will make sure that they cannot rise again. Remember, humans survive because we adapt. We succeed because we act where others hesitate. Let's show them who we are." It was heavily defended, bristling with weapons and patrolled by Shadari fighters. But humans had never relied on brute force alone. They had intelligence, strategy, and courage, tools far more effective than any weapon. Mara hacked the outer defense grid, creating small blind spots in the fortress sensors. Jalen plotted a path through these gaps, leading the squad to the interior undetected. Rick prepared close combat weapons, knowing that once inside, stealth would be replaced by action. Tessa checked everyone's vitals and performance metrics, ensuring the team was ready for the physical demands of the mission. The first breach occurred in a maintenance corridor, small and unguarded, yet it led directly into the heart of the fortress. The humans moved silently, bypassing traps and patrolling units. Mara disabled automated defenses, while Jalen provided real-time tactical adjustments. Every step, every action was precise, a combination of calculation and instinct. The Shadari had never faced opponents who could adapt so quickly, strike with such speed, and anticipate enemy movements so accurately. They reached the central command chamber, where the remaining Shadari leaders had gathered. The room was enormous, filled with glowing consoles and alien technology pulsating with energy. But humans did not hesitate. Rick struck first, moving with lightning speed to neutralize the guards at the entrance. Alara followed, coordinating the team's positions to cover every angle. Mara disrupted the fortress systems, shutting down communication and immobilizing defenses. Jalen accessed the Shadari network, sending false commands and sowing confusion among the enemy ranks. The Shadari realized too late that their fortress was being dismantled from within. Panic spread among their forces as they struggled to regain control, but humans had anticipated every move. The squad acted as one, a perfectly coordinated unit that combined speed, intelligence, and courage. In the heart of the chamber, Alara faced the Shadari leader, a towering figure with eyes that glowed like coals. It moved with calculated precision, striking with power and speed, but Alara was ready. She anticipated its movements, using agility, strategy, and reflexes honed by years of training. Rick and Mara flanked the enemy, cutting off escape routes, while Jalen manipulated the environment to create advantageous positions. Tessa remained close, prepared to stabilize the squad if injuries occurred. The fight was intense but brief. The humans' teamwork, adaptability, and intelligence proved superior. Every attack was countered, every defense anticipated until the Shadari leader fell, its forces in chaos. The fortress was theirs. Systems were shut down, communications destroyed, and the remaining enemy forces surrendered or fled. Alara and her squad did not celebrate. They secured the fortress, checked for survivors, and ensured that all civilians in nearby systems were safe. The Shadari had been decisively defeated, not through reckless force but through precision, strategy, and human ingenuity. The galaxy had seen the full power of humanity, executioners who fought with purpose, intelligence, and courage. The Zephyrian coalition celebrated the victory, but their awe was tinged with respect and a little fear. Humans had changed the rules of engagement. They were not merely soldiers, they were a force the galaxy had never experienced before. Their ability to adapt, anticipate, and act with both efficiency and morality was unmatched. Back on the Aegis Vanguard, Alara addressed her team. "We have done what many thought impossible. We have defeated the Shadari, protected countless lives, and shown what humans can achieve. But remember, it is not our weapons that make us strong. It is our courage, our intelligence, and our ability to adapt. That is what makes us executioners." Each member knew that their success was not just due to skill, but to trust, teamwork, and the unique qualities that defined humanity. As they traveled back toward Zephyrian space, the squad reviewed intelligence collected during the final strike. They discovered critical information about the Shadari's origin, tactics, and weaknesses. This knowledge would allow coalition forces to defend other systems from future threats. Humans had not only won a battle, they had provided the galaxy with the tools to survive. In the weeks following the campaign, humans helped the coalition rebuild. They trained local forces, established defenses, and shared strategies that maximized efficiency and safety. Civilians who had once cowered in fear now looked to humans as protectors, symbols of hope and resilience. Alara walked through the streets of a recovering city, watching children play and soldiers patrol with renewed confidence. She saw the effect their presence had on the people around them. Humans had not only fought the Shadari, they had inspired others to be brave, to think creatively, and to act decisively. Rick joined her, adjusting his gear. "Captain, do you think they will ever forget what humans can do?" "Humans adapt, humans succeed, that is who we are. We went in to fight, but what we're leaving behind is more than victory. It's hope." For the first time in weeks, there was no battle, no immediate threat, only the quiet hum of life returning to the streets below. Alara looked at her team, her heart swelling with pride. They had faced an alien enemy unlike any other, and they had emerged victorious. "Tomorrow, we continue to help rebuild," she said quietly. "But tonight, we remember what we have done. We have proven that humans are more than soldiers. We are executioners, we are protectors, and we are unstoppable." Across the galaxy, civilizations would remember the name of Earth, not as a distant planet, but as a force that could face any threat and survive. And as the stars shone above, Alara felt a sense of quiet determination. Humans had arrived on the interstellar stage not to blend in, but to lead, to protect, and to excel. The Shadari were defeated, but the galaxy was vast, and other challenges would inevitably arise. Yet humans had proven their ability to meet any challenge, adapt, and triumph. Earth had not sent soldiers. Earth had sent executioners, and those executioners had changed the galaxy forever. The squad returned to the Aegis Vanguard, ready to continue their mission. Though the war with the Shadari was over, the galaxy was still a dangerous place, filled with threats and uncertainty. But the humans had shown the truth. When Earth answers the call, it does not send soldiers. It sends a force that cannot be stopped, that adapts, overcomes, and protects. A force that is, in every sense, human. And with that, the stars stretched out before them, full of possibility, challenge, and promise. Humanity had proven its place among the stars, and the legend of the Earth executioners would echo across the galaxy for generations to come.